I still remember the way the fabric felt against my skin that morning. Crisp, pressed, and heavy with purpose. My military uniform wasn't just cloth. It was my armor, my promise, my entire heart poured into every stitch. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my collar, whispering to myself, "You've got this, Alina. This is who you are now." But the world had other plans. My boyfriend. Marcus leaned against the doorframe with that familiar smirk. "Babe, you're really wearing that again. Come on, it's just a costume. You look like you're playing pretend." His words landed like small cuts. I laughed it off, the way I always did, telling myself he was joking. He pulled me into a hug, but his eyes didn't match the warmth. Behind him, my best friend Sarah stood scrolling her phone, giggling at something she quickly hid when I looked over. We had been together for 3 years. I thought we were building a life. I had joined the military right after college, against everyone's advice. My family said it was too dangerous for a woman. Marcus said it would ruin us. But something inside me, that quiet fire, wouldn't let me walk away. Every early morning run, every brutal training session, every night I came home exhausted but proud. It all felt right. That evening we were supposed to meet as friends for dinner. I decided to wear my uniform because I had just come off base and didn't have time to change. The moment I walked into the restaurant, the laughter started. "Look at her," one of his buddies called out. "Playing soldier again." Marcus didn't defend me. He joined them. "Yeah, she thinks she's tough. Wait till she actually has to do something real." Sarah just smiled and took another sip of wine, whispering loud enough for me to hear. "Some girls just need attention, I guess." I sat there, cheeks burning, fork frozen in my hand. But I didn't cry, not then. I smiled politely, excused myself early, and drove home alone. That night, staring at the ceiling, I felt the first crack in my heart. What I didn't know was that the real betrayal was only beginning, and it would shatter everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and who I was. The weeks that followed were a blur of pain and duty. I threw myself into training harder than ever. While Marcus spent his nights out with the guys, I was running drills in the rain, learning to lead, pushing my body past limits I never knew existed. Every time I came home smelling of sweat and gun oil, he would wrinkle his nose and say, "You're changing. Alina, this uniform is turning you into someone I don't even recognize." I tried to hold us together. I planned date nights. I wore civilian clothes when he asked, but the distance grew. Then came the night I returned early from a field exercise, exhausted, heart aching for comfort. I found them in our apartment, Marcus and Sarah together. Her wearing his shirt, his hands on her waist, the same hands that once promised forever. They didn't even look ashamed at first. Sarah actually laughed. "Oh please, Alina, you're never here. Always playing dress up in that ridiculous uniform." Someone had to keep him company. Marcus just shrugged. "You made your choice. The military was more important than me." What did you expect? I stood there in my uniform, boots still muddy from the field, and felt my world collapse. The woman I trusted most, and the man I loved most had torn me apart while I was out trying to become someone stronger. The betrayal cut deeper than any wound I'd ever received in training. That night I packed what I could, left the apartment, and drove until the sun came up, tears blurring the road. For months, the pain consumed me. I replayed every mocking comment, every time they laughed at my uniform, every secret glance they must have shared behind my back. Nights were the worst. I would wake up reaching for someone who was never really there. My teammates noticed I was quieter. My commander pulled me aside once and said, "Whatever's weighing on you, don't let it break you. The uniform doesn't allow that." Those words saved me. Slowly, the heartbreak began to transform. The same uniform they mocked became my refuge. I stopped trying to prove myself to people who never believed in me. I channeled every ounce of pain into excellence. I volunteered for the hardest assignments. I studied late into the night. I earned respect from people who saw my dedication, not my gender or my past. But inside, the wound still burned. I heard through mutual friends that Marcus and Sarah were now official, and loved telling the story of how I was too obsessed with playing soldier to keep a man. Every time I imagined them laughing at me, something inside me hardened into steel. 2 years later, everything changed on a bright spring morning at the National Military Awards ceremony. I stood on that stage in my dress uniform, medals gleaming on my chest, medals earned through blood, sweat, and quiet sacrifice. I had led a critical rescue operation that saved dozens of lives during a crisis overseas. My name was called. The crowd rose. And then the highest-ranking general on base stepped forward, looked me straight in the eyes, and gave me a crisp, heartfelt salute. The entire auditorium followed. The sound of hundreds of hands clapping and boots coming to attention echoed like thunder. What they didn't know, what I hadn't planned but fate delivered, was that Marcus and Sarah were in the audience. Sarah's cousin was in my unit and had invited them, thinking it would be funny to see me still playing soldier. They sat near the front, dressed up, expecting another story to mock later. The moment the general saluted me, their faces changed. I saw it all from the stage, the color draining from Marcus's cheeks, Sarah's forced smile cracking into shock. The same uniform they had laughed at was now being honored by one of the most respected leaders in the country. After the ceremony, they approached me hesitantly. Marcus looked small. Alina, we had no idea. I looked at them both, my voice steady but laced with the weight of everything they had broken. You never wanted to know. You saw the uniform and decided it made me less. Today you saw what it actually made me. Sarah tried to apologize, tears in her eyes, but I simply shook my head. The uniform didn't destroy us. You're disrespected. I didn't need revenge. I just needed to keep becoming who I was meant to be. I walked away that day with my head high, the general's salute still warm in my memory. Marcus and Sarah's relationship didn't last long after that. The truth has a way of exposing everything fake. Now, when I put on that uniform every morning, I don't feel the old wounds as sharply. They're still there, but they've become part of my strength. I learned that the people who mock you in your darkest, most vulnerable moments are rarely the ones who stay to see you rise. The greatest revenge isn't loud or cruel. It's becoming undeniable. It's turning pain into purpose. It's standing tall in the very thing they tried to shame you for and letting your life become the response they can never argue with. If you're wearing your own version of that uniform, whether it's literal or the quiet armor of your dreams, wear it with pride. The right people will salute you, and the wrong ones, they'll fade into the background of a story that was never about them. Thank you for walking this journey with me. If this story touched your heart, remember, your worth was never up for their vote.